Okay, Caroline, everybody has been admitted.
All right. Welcome, everyone. I am calling to order at 6:03 p.m. The regular meeting of the Finance Committee on Tuesday, March 10th. All right. Welcome, everyone. Let me just start by asking, is anybody recording the meeting this evening? All right. Thanks, Mark. All right. Let's hop right to it. Do we have any public comment this evening?
Irene, were you going to speak? Okay. So I would just say a couple words. I have been delinquent in getting you all some information on. I've kind of researched that I mentioned related to administrator efficiency. I will try to get that over to you and the board as well as the Board of Finance. I think we're overstaffed by a couple of positions. I think realistically, the Board of Finance is going to cut your budget. I think it's going to be tough to do the projects that you want to in terms of investing in special education. I think knowing one of the members of the Board of Finance that thinks it should be cut higher, they're going to look at you and say, with a $57 million budget, you should be able to, within your in your budget, execute that program. In terms of the special education investments you're talking about, I will tell you, based on the capabilities of the administrators, you will not be able to execute unless you kind of reconfigure your administrative team with new blood. So I will in my communications with the Board of Finance make that pretty clear. The other area where we're not aligned with the appropriate investments is in our business office. The director there is significantly overpaid for the skill level. I'll be, laying out that case to the Board of Finance. So I think the idea of combining resources with the town and reconfiguring how you staff those roles, I think would potentially free up some dollars for reinvestment. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Okay, any other public comment this evening?
Caroline, if I may, just as I was specifically called out in public comment, I would love to invite Mr. Correa to have a conversation about my skill level and our operations here in the business office on the Board of Education side of things anytime. Thanks.
Sure.
Thanks, Casey. All right, we're going to move into the financial reports, starting off with you, Casey, please.
Perfect. Let me share my screen. Okay, so we'll start with check register, and I will open it up for any. Oh, can you see it? Yes, you can see. Okay. Open up to any questions that you had on check registers. Aaron, I know that you had asked for the legal bill, the invoice from January. That's got to get redacted. So we will make sure that gets to you before the end of the week. And then the ESS subs, you had a question about breaking out our building, permanent building subs out of that. So that is broken out in the invoice, and I have all that data. That will be part of the substitute analysis that I'm prepared to present at the April Finance Subcommittee meeting. Sorry, were you going to say something?
No, I just think moving forward, it just would be really helpful to know what we're spending monthly on building subs, because it's a known, right? It's a constant. So I think it's just really hard to see it in this line.
So were there any other questions on the check register report?
I just want to quick, I don't know if you can answer this, Casey, about the how much money you think we'll potentially save about, and I saw the Eversource bill, and how much we might be saving once we do get solar. I don't know if there's a number on that, if you have, or I was just curious when I saw that number again. They're a thorn in my side, so that's why I asked.
Yeah, that was shared by,
It was, right? I think it was
shared. I want to say I have a $38,000 number. I haven't looked at it in a long time, to be honest with you, Bob, but I will get you, I can follow up in an email about that. For
No
sure.
worries. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to the savings on that front. That was all.
Yeah, I actually have a question on the solar because I was talking to another, someone from the Energy Conservation Commission, and from what I heard, they're planning on breaking ground in September for the high school. So I'm just curious how that's going to work with student parking.
So I'm not sure about the timing of it, Aaron, to be honest with you. This is a project that's being managed on the town side. But I can get more details and share that out. Probably, I guess, at facilities might be the place to sort of bring those updates on the timing. That didn't come up in our conversation today, with the town leadership, but I can absolutely get those details. We can follow up on that.
Yeah, apparently it came from Greg Dembowski. Not sure who that is, but I just think like that's a concern to begin with because we were told all this stuff would be done over the summer with students not, in school. So, just a housekeeping issue to follow up on, I guess. And then can you mention to the $17,000 that we spent in January, like what that was? Like what was the bulk of that? Because the bill is $18,000, $17,000 is board. Was it negotiations or was it legal fees?
I'd have to pull up the invoice, which is not in Munis, Aaron. I know that January was a transition in leadership at the superintendent, in the superintendent position. There was a lot of contract, going back and forth with the superintendent position itself. So I think that probably had a bit to do with it. But I can get you that breakdown. You'll have the invoice as soon as we get it redacted.
And that 18, just to be clear though, that the last invoice was for work done in January, correct? Yeah, yep. It's the services, it's a 2-month lag in the services versus the invoice, it looks
correct.
Like. Yeah. Okay.
Right. So then we're looking at February where there's more contracts. It just, I don't know. We have to get a handle on these legal bills.
Can I add a little bit to that?
Absolutely.
We've been monitoring them. I think we have a quote unquote handle on them. I think legal expenses are coming in and we're managing those as they come in. So there are certain things that require legal support. And so we're utilizing it for that. Whenever we don't have to, we will not moving forward. And we'll keep monitoring that carefully to see how we can reduce expenses in that line.
And I was able to pull up more specifics on that, Aaron. Out of the January legal bill, almost $9,000 was related to board-specific matters. I believe, as I recall, looking back, a lot of that was the superintendent search and transition and contracts. As you recall, there's a couple of contracts, the superintendent contract and the assistant superintendent contract that was, being handled that month. FOIA related costs were about $3,300, and we had a residency matter that was being resolved in the month of January as well, and that was $3,800, and a little under $1,000 for personnel, labor-related issues.
Right, and of that $18,000, $1,000 of it was special ed, correct?
Yeah, about $1,200. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions on the check register? Okay. The year-to-date financial report.
Great. All right. I wish I could make this bigger. Can you see it all right on your screen?
Yep.
Okay. Slight change in this, listening to some feedback from the Board of Finance meeting last month. I did include another column so that it's an easier reference to last month's rather than pulling out the prior month report. A comparison from where we were tracking the prior month to current. We're tracking relatively, steady in all of these areas that we've been reporting, both shortfalls and budget savings. Our largest budget savings is related to salary accounts in the administrator line, as well as the teacher salaries related to leaves and absences. We also have some vacancies and leaves in our custodian and maintenance accounts, and so we are realizing savings in those accounts as well. The big picture story here is just that we are managing all, any budget shortfalls that we have, we are managing appropriately within our operating budget. We have, pulled out and we're calling out and reporting separately those additional funds that were appropriated to out-of-district special education tuition and transportation, simply as a way of, showing for transparency the fact that those funds are not being reallocated or utilized to cover any budget shortfall areas in any other, areas of our budget. So there's, all the detail is in the 3-pager with, as many notes as I thought would be helpful, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Casey, I just want to say thank you because you really do a phenomenal job presenting this and laying it out and making it real easy to read and understand and digest. So just want to say thank you. Outstanding.
You're welcome.
I dropped my piece of paper with my question. Hold on a second. There we go. While I'm driving, I got to be careful. That's the one with the line items, right? That you're showing?
Yep.
I just had a quick question about 54301. I think it was for $212,000 building maintenance.
Yep.
Is that a monthly fee for building maintenance or?
Nope, that's our so the 212,000
right?
850. Yeah, that is for that's our annual budget that we've allocated towards building maintenance across all 3 schools. And to date, we have spent we've spent about 94,000. We've encumbered about 74,000, and we have an available amount remaining of 28,000. And we have plans for those funds.
Copy that. Okay, cool.
What line was that again, Casey? I'm sorry.
It's account 54301, building and maintenance. It's basically our maintenance, our operating maintenance budget for the district.
Okay, I see it now.
I saw it. I was maybe think of the snow and wild winter that we had and all that stuff. So yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, you'll see the impact of the snow. You'll for the most part you'll see in our overtime account, because we did have to call in custodial staff for additional snow clearing and snow removal and salting of the sidewalks and things before school started. So that overtime account will see the biggest impact for the weather that we've had. That and potentially our oil account.
Well, I know that the guys in my building actually slept there, and I walked in on one accidentally because I go there to make my coffee, and he was passed out in his chair. So it's
Yeah.
It's pretty funny. I understand.
Any other questions?
No other questions from me.
Okay.
Sounds good, Casey. Thank you.
Just one clarification, Casey. Up top, the 375 under budget is inclusive of the entire budget and including the ring fenced or whatever we called it,
Correct.
For the special ed, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's the number that you'll see down here at the very bottom, because while we are reporting on those accounts separately, they are part of our operating budget, and so this total does include our total operating budget, which we're managing within 0.68% of our allocated budget.
I was just going to reference the percentage variance, which is extremely low for that size budget. Okay. Great.
All right. Should we move on to, I think, teacher turnovers next?
Teacher turnovers next. Yes, correct.
This is a very, very small print. I apologize.
I think you can blow it up a little bit, Casey.
Okay, you know what? I hit this little screen and now I can.
There you go. Yeah.
Essentially, there were no changes from last month. So no changes to what we've been reporting. We are right on target with our salary, teacher, our salary savings due to teacher turnover. And again, this is just reporting the sort of the ins and the outs based on retirements and resignations of our teaching staff only. This doesn't include non-certified staff. So our teaching staff, when they retire, they leave the district, and this is reporting on, where we're hiring and filling those positions and any savings realized from, hopefully potentially hiring staff at a lower step. Sometimes it's not always the case that we can do that. But the thinking is that due to attrition and retirements, we already budget a $200,000 reduction to our teacher salaries. Anticipating these turnovers, and fortunately right now we have met that target.
And just a clarifying question, that 200,000, is that included on the front page summary under the salary savings line?
It's not in the salary savings. Well, it's hold on.
I'll show you what I mean, or you might know what I mean.
This 750 additional.
No, on the summary page where we say the February savings is 441 right there. Yeah.
The 441.
Is the 441 inclusive of that 200K?
Yeah. So the 441 is all of the savings that we're finding in salary. So it's the 220 for the administrators, the 150 for teachers, the $750 extra that we've so far realized in our teacher turnover. The 40,000 in custodial salaries and the 30,000 in maintenance.
Oh, so it's not, I see now. Okay.
Because we've already budgeted that reduction. So if we don't meet the target, it just means that it's
a negative. It's a negative impact. It's a headwind. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Any other questions there?
Maybe this is the wrong forum, but are we actively recruiting for any positions on this list?
So we don't have any open positions right now. Right, Stephen? I don't think we have any open positions. I think the last one in SLP was just filled.
Yeah, I think March 3rd or right around that time frame, we filled an SLP at that time. That was the only vacancy we had in the teaching realm. So, so right at this time we're at capacity.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Any other questions here?
No, not for me. I'm good.
Okay, moving on to the special education update.
Okay. So this is our continuing snapshot of, again, this is how we are calling out the additional funding for that was allocated to our budget at the end of the budget process last year for special education, out of district transportation and tuition, and then the corresponding excess cost grant revenue impact of those numbers. We have been trending in the roughly 300-ish thousand surplus. We did have very favorable numbers in transportation this year. And I think I've called this out a few times to the committee, but it does bear repeating that this is the first year that we've really seen some leveling off of our rates with that contract with Ed Advance for our out of district transportation. And and even to the extent that where changes did fall, they were typically falling in our favor, which is good news for that transportation number. But this report just shows how many students have left our out of district program, or their individual program, any new students, any cohort under 5. I am just putting an asterisk that I'm noting that it's under 5. I'm not gonna we know those numbers, but I'm not gonna identify specifically. And then you can see that there's been some fluctuations with this changes in estimates based on contracts. So we're looking at a favorable to the budget of about $355,000 at this point in time. We have several months of school, left to go, but this is where we're tracking right now. We did get our first payment from the excess cost grant revenue. And so my estimate now on the excess cost grant revenue is based on that initial payment. We typically get about anywhere between like 73 to 75% of our total amount. There are some changes. We resubmit the updated costs. Again, I believe it was in the end of February, those were resubmitted to the state. So there can be some changes, but it's usually between 73 and 75% of what we end up getting for that total revenue amount is what we have already gotten. So so that number is pretty solid.
And can you, for my own education again, can you just define the excess cost grant for me when that kicks in?
So yes, so there is a threshold amount. I believe ours is around $90,000, and there's a very complicated formula that the state comes up with based on our ability to pay, wealth factors, all of these different demographic numbers of the town. But they arrive at this number, and for us, it's right around $90,000. And so what the excess cost grant revenue does is any expenditure for a student needing, special education services that is in excess of that threshold amount, the state will reimburse. For us, it's around 74% of those excess costs. So if you have, an out of district placement that costs $100,000, well, we will get a reimbursement of about 74% of that additional $10,000 over that threshold.
Okay.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be out of district. It could be a student that receives, extensive services in district.
Yep.
Typically, those higher expenses are usually all outplacements. And one thing to keep in mind too is that these numbers are submitted to the state. The first time is in December of the current year. And if a student is then outplaced, say in January, and they were not, submitted with those initial, figures and estimates, they would no longer be eligible this fiscal year for that excess cost grant reimbursement. So it's only on the students that are on the roster as of that December filing.
And when is it paid out? Is it paid out monthly or once?
No, it's twice a year. So we just got the first payment in the last couple of weeks, and typically the second payment we'll receive in May. I think there's then a final sort of true up of the final numbers in, I want to say September. And Marcia, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but in that true up final payment does go to the town. That does not come to the Board of Ed side.
Okay.
Because it's after the fiscal close.
Okay. Interesting.
And that's typically a much smaller payment because it's just, any changes in those placements that had already been reported.
Okay.
You're not wrong. It is after the fiscal year, and I think it's usually in the March payment because they wait till the auditor has delivered their report.
Thank you.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if I'm looking at this right. So the asterisk is new, correct? On this report?
Yes. As I said, I don't want to identify, if it's 2 students, I don't.
No.
If it's,
That's fine. I just didn't know what I was looking at because it's different from what we had before. So I think my question is, I asked if we had students on the burner that were going to go out, and I was told no. And now we have 1 new outplacement and 2 potentials. So is it 3 or 2 more in total that are on the back burner or potentially going out? Because a month ago, I was told that we had none.
I'm not. Where are you finding those? The new students are new for the whole year.
Well, no, I understand that, but that's what I asked because in the new budget, we weren't budgeting for any, right? And I said, do we have any potentials? And I was told no. And now we have 1 student outplaced and it looks like $120,000 in tuition went up, $40,000 in transportation. And now there's 2. Now there's other potentials. So I don't know.
Erin, what line are you seeing the other potentials in this report?
Maybe I was looking, hang on 1 second. I might be looking at a different report because I had to open it on my phone. I can't see it.
Okay. Because make sure you're looking at March.
I have like 6 boys in the house and I can't hear. So I had to come out to the porch.
Okay. Yeah, at one point several months ago, there were, and that's why I keep the running total of all. So there were pending outplacements in December, but there are no pending outplacements.
That was what I looked at. So we had 2 pending, and now 1 of those pending has been outplaced. It looks no. I mean. I think my question is, so if I look from December, we had 27, 2 pending, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then when I look at January, it's up to 29. So that's the 2. And now 29, but we had 1 new outplacement. So is it 29 in total and no more pending?
So there's no pending outplacements right now, and we have 29 current students currently outplaced.
We have how many currently outplaced? 29?
29.
And it's been 29 since January. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And do we have an idea? So we are 45,000 over budget, right? It looks like with those 29 students for March up until March of this year. Am I reading that right as well?
Yep.
Okay.
Anticipated for the full year, right? That's what we expect. It's not a year-to-date number. It's a.
Okay. Well, that was my question. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, because the contracts, we typically, once a student is outplaced, we get the contract for their term for the year, and that becomes encumbered when we receive it. So pending any changes to those outplacements, this is tuition, so it wouldn't. Well, no, it would be tuition if maybe if it was a need for additional services, but a lot of times that's other professional services. You'll see that's why, that is another account that is over budget. That's harder to get a handle on due to the fluctuation and changes of student needs. But yeah, this is a full year all-in number that we expect right now.
Okay. So our estimated overage for the entire school year is 45K in that bucket. Okay.
And there is still, there's still, I believe, one contract that may be changing. It's not. I'll leave it at that. I think, right, Stephen. But there still may be some changes. We have, a placement, but it, so.
Just unsure right now.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. Erin, did you have any other questions here?
None that anybody can answer. They're all in my head, and I'm just going to leave it at that.
Okay. I don't have any more questions here, Casey.
No, I'm good as well.
Great. So I will stop sharing my screen.
Okay. So next up on the agenda under new business is budget transfers.
Yes. So I will.
So you'll probably need to take it back.
I will share my screen again. Hang on. All right. So these are, this will be the third set of budget transfers coming to the board this fiscal year. And this is essentially, as you see in the financial reports, that we do have shortages in our substitute accounts, as well as our professional services, overtime, legal fees. There is a maintenance equipment block, maintenance, which one is it? Yeah. This is like a repair and not necessarily maintenance, but maintenance and utility repair line, and some other accounts. So these budget transfers essentially true up some of those shortfalls by using accounts that most closely align with why we have those shortfalls, right? So what I'm doing here is I'm taking our savings that we have from some of our teacher salaries due to, leaves, mostly leaves, some vacancies. And I am using those funds to shore up the reason, the cost of having those vacancies and leaves, which is our substitute accounts. This other professional services was for to cover SLP needs. I am taking a salary savings from that account to cover that shortfall. So it's not a true salary to salary transfer. It's a salary to other professional services, but it's to cover the same need. Overtime, we do have a shortfall in overtime. That is largely due to several vacancies sporadically in it, throughout the year in our custodial bargaining unit. And so I'm using anticipated salary savings that we have in our custodial unit to cover that overtime. Legal fees, as we've discussed, is running over budget. So I am one of our prior budget transfers was for a pension to shore up pension contribution, and I connected with Marcia on this, and we do not need that additional $50,000 amount to be contributed to the pension. So I'm pulling that back out. And I'm going to put that to legal fees. So, and hopefully shore some of that up. This $15,755, I'm pulling from building maintenance. It really could be a maintenance thing. This is for a repair to several pieces of equipment in our gymnasiums, both at Wisconsin and the high school. Every year we have this company, Hussey, comes in to assess all of our equipment in our gymnasiums, including our bleachers and everything. And where there's certainly any safety issues, we wanted to make sure that we get those addressed. So I'm pulling money from our building maintenance account and putting it to maintenance and utilities and where that was expensed from. This shortage of little over $1,400. These are this was other equipment for tech, and it's being pulled from other supplies in tech. So I'm trying to keep it within, Eric's operating budget as much as I can. Pupil transportation, this is a continued shortfall, and it doesn't true up all of pupil transportation, but we will have to, continue to monitor and track this. I'm anticipating a savings in our social security contribution. So I'm going to decrease our social security expense by $25,000 and put that towards the pupil transportation to try to shore up that shortfall. And so you can see we have our approved budget, $55,439,392. We're transferring into accounts $268,721. We are transferring out the exact same amount to end up with the same approved budget with no variance.
Quick question, Casey, on the pupil transportation.
Yep.
So I did see that line item on the summary sheet, right? It looks like we have a shortfall of about 52,000.
Yes.
Can you just explain that one a little bit more to me?
Sure. So this was a carryover. So it's a carryover of a McKinney-Vento homeless act, essentially a service that we need to provide. When a student is displaced, we are required and rightfully so to ensure that they can still get to school. This is not something that we budget ever. At least in my time, and certainly in looking back in the history before I got here, this was never budgeted. Okay. We had a few cases where we had to call on this for transportation services because students were displaced outside of the town of Brookfield, and so we have to get additional transportation to go to their location and get them to school. This was a carryover from a case that we had last year. We weren't expecting it to carry over. Unfortunately, it did. That situation may change before the end of the year. So I'm not going to move, the full amount because again, that was a worst case bye, Marcia. That is a worst case that would be all in to transport, those students for the rest of the year.
The 52K is an estimate for the entire rest of the budget.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. What's our current, is the current shortfall 25 in that account or is it a little more than that?
The year to date?
Yeah, sorry.
Year to date, we're okay. But we've encumbered when we know, we open up a PO and that encumbers the funds. So we have a PO out there for every day of school for the rest of the day at that rate. And so that's why we have that shortfall.
Okay. I understand.
But the account hasn't truly been overspent, if that's kind of what you're asking, right?
But we know it will be, basically.
Correct.
Because we've got contractual PO commitments. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Understood.
Which also could change if the situation changes for the family. Yep.
Understood.
Yep.
I just have a question as far as maintenance. So we're going to pull out of building maintenance. What are we not going to do under building maintenance by pulling that money?
Well, like as I said, this really was a maintenance repair. It was just specific to our equipment, and so it was more like an equipment repair. But it was related to the building. What might we not do? There may not be some painting done. There may not be, things of that nature. Although I will tell you, and I was going to bring this up under miscellaneous discussion, but I can bring it up now. And we talked about it in facilities, is this great news that we have additional funding from the state. They did approve this DRIP fund, and we will be receiving before June 30th, $120,808 that can go directly towards capital improvements for Brookfield Public Schools. And that does not expire. It's sort of like the LOSIP grant for the town. That can be carried over year. We can continue to call on it as projects, as we plan for projects. And so I'm confident that we can, with that, especially with that additional funding of $120,000 from the state, that we can really start seeing some traction. And my goal, and I spoke briefly with Stephen about this and the principals, and is that my goal is to use those funds on things that we can see in the buildings. Yes, repairs and fixes and maintenance, but I don't want to repair. I do want to repair any plumbing issues. I'm not saying I don't want to do that, but I don't want it to be repairs that go behind the walls that nobody sees. I want these funds to be invested, and I want to create a plan for these funds to be invested in things that are seen by students and staff and families when they walk through the doors. And so I was just on a call the end of last week, getting more information about this grant funding that's going to be available. And so we're going to make a plan to, come up with a prioritized list of how to get that, how to spend that money.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's just a concern when you see that, right? Our middle school and high school, they don't show well. I'll tell you what, every classroom you walk in, the ceiling tiles are absolutely disgusting. So,
yeah,
I just
absolutely. And we're certainly right. And I know the library is a big one, especially in the high school. And we have funds. We have put the funding in the capital, and it has been approved funding for additional ceiling tiles. We have additional ceiling tiles, but we're not going to put the ceiling tiles in a roof that is still leaking. And so we have to get that roof replaced. And then once we do, there will be brand new ceiling tiles. And in every area where we have new roofs, we will make sure that shows.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're not putting off, maintenance, on buildings to cover, equipment repair, because our buildings, they show horribly. So.
Yep.
What was the dollar amount, Casey? I just want to put it in our notes here. 120. Oh no,
for that one item.
I'm sorry. Actually, the DRIP fund amount.
$120,808.
Okay. Perfect.
And those funds would be used at Wisconsin and the high school, I would imagine.
I would imagine. I think CLES is doing all right. I think we could certainly split it between those two schools.
That would be our primary. Those would be our primary schools of focus. Yeah.
Thank you.
One more quick question, more procedural process question. This one, can we get a copy of this summary as well?
The budget transfers?
Yes, please.
Yes, so that will be in your board packet because that will have to go to the full board for approval, and it's typically part of the consent agenda at the next we don't have a point now. At the next regular board meeting, which would be next week.
Okay.
Yes, it will be in the board packet for that. Yep.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. Procedurally, what's the next step? Okay, so we will get this at the full board review on March 18th, and we will vote as part of the consent agenda to approve these transfers.
Correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Fantastic. All right. Any other questions on the budget transfers?
I do not have any questions.
Okay. All right. Next up on the agenda is old business, discussion of the 2026-27 adopted budget. So I do not have anything specific to share here, besides the fact that we will be attending the Board of Finance meeting tomorrow as part of their regular meeting, and we'll be discussing our adopted budget in that forum. So I will open it up to see if there's any other questions, comments, updates from anyone else.
I do not have anything else other than, I thank you again to Stephen and Casey and all the hard work with all the new proposals and ideas that we have on the horizon. I just want to, reiterate that that the ideas and the things that we need take funding. And, I'm really looking forward to what's on the horizon. So thank you for that. And I don't have anything else specific per se to the current budget other than that.
Yeah, I don't have anything either, just hoping that it stays where it is and we don't see any further reductions. I don't think there's really anything to talk about till we know where we're at.
I would echo that, Aaron. I feel the same way, that I think we can realize some great opportunities. I don't think they're at the expense of reducing further. I think they're only at the ability to maintain what has already been reduced. And so I think it would be helpful to the community if we could start moving some things forward in those areas. And I hope we get the support to make that happen. They wouldn't be able to be realized through things that some people think, all the reallocations, and there's way more to it than that. And there are some other variables in play that are deeper to realize. So I just think that would be critical, and I'm hopeful that folks will support that.
And a 486 would be a lot better, just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm planning on making a public comment right at the meeting in hopes that they hear it. I mean, I just don't see how we can cut any deeper and still provide for our students. It just, I mean, any more cuts is directly going to negatively impact students, and we're not going to be able to bring in programs to try and help some of these costs. So,
Trying to prevent irreparable harm to the district as well. That's really what it is. What it's all about.
I mean, that's where we're at. You know, it just, I don't know, you know, and it's scary. Like, I mean, that's why I sent you guys that thing on those House bills. I mean, there's another one coming next week, which will again have impacts. I mean, we keep getting these underfunded mandates, you know, that's pulling resources that should be educating children to, you know, pushing papers in realms that we shouldn't be pushing them. So, you know, I'm continuing to watch up at the state. I'm testifying twice tomorrow.
Good.
There is some good news coming with some grants. I don't think it, you know, just to try and shore up those accounts. I don't think it's going to hit until, I was hopeful it would be in the next budget. It's not. They're saying it'll be the 27-28 budget is when they'll shore it up. They'll bring it up to $15,500 per student. Or $13,500, and then, you know, and then there is supposed to be savings coming in special education in the excess cost grant, but we'll see what happens because it's not happening soon enough.
Right. And I think it'd be important to share that the more days I'm here, the greater opportunity I have to speak with groups of folks, but also see some of the programs in action that we currently have, and I'll be able to share more of this even tomorrow night as well. You know, what we're asking for is not also so we can, you know, just maintain what we have and potentially add improved programs, but when you see current programs increasing in size and the needs that go along with those, the maintenance becomes even more. So some of our current programs that we have require us to attend to those as well. So we don't continue to have to place students outside of Brookfield. And so if we don't pay good attention to that and manage those accordingly, the ones we already have, that is going to compromise anything else that we try to do to change that paradigm and shift thinking. So, there's more to consider and think about, and I'm seeing more of that as I am able to be here longer.
Will you be bringing any of that information forward tomorrow on needs of the district that we didn't necessarily know a month ago?
I will.
Okay.
Yes, I will.
No, because I think that that's really imperative that they hear it, right? Because, you know, it's simple like, oh, well, cut this administrator, cut this, cut that. And it's not, it's not simple. Like it just, you can't just cut people that you need. And I get reallocating, but you can't reallocate and build new programs if I feel like we're in a ship with tons of holes and we're just trying to plug them all right now.
Well, and you also can't reallocate until you understand in detail the current state and then understand where things could be shifted and moved and picked up if and when reallocated. I think, I mean, just in my experience.
And I agree that there's opportunity to investigate all that and potentially reallocate, but I think there has to be a transition plan for that reallocation.
Absolutely.
Too soon could, to your point earlier about the, you know, thought of holes in a ship, right? Just make the hole gaping even larger if it wasn't well planned and executed and you didn't, you know, shift things around accordingly. And so it's dynamic, right? And it's nuanced when we're talking about little people and adults. So We just have to be cautious of that and thoughtful and do it well, because I think there are opportunities and I want to take advantage of those. I just think they have to be well planned and executed. And so we want to take advantage of that too and do that right. So all of it in good time, absolutely. And I think in future years, we have opportunities where we'll see reallocation of both resources, financially, human, that lead to financial and an opportunity to reduce some costs that we're seeing right now that are, keeping our budget where it is.
Mm-hmm.
Did anybody see Bethel's budget today?
I know their board pushed it up to 7 from 6.
Mm-hmm.
Is it still there?
I saw it approved at 6, so I was looking at all the area towns, and so I think that's something, maybe we bring that up tomorrow too. We're definitely lower than some of our surrounding towns.
I was just going to say, do we have the current data for all of our surrounding towns?
I can send you what I screenshot this morning, which was off of a Bethel site, because Bethel right now appears to be the highest. I'll send it to you. I saw it this morning.
Stephen, what was it you said our budget was last year? I remember we were talking, what were the numbers that we spoke about? It was, last year was 4.9, right? I believe?
Yes, 499 last year.
4.99. And the year before that was?
353.
Well, it was 353, but we had additional appropriations of 580,000, which makes it really 3.91.
Okay.
Copy. Okay.
Right. Correct me if I'm wrong, Casey, but I was using some of the data that you had pulled.
Yeah, we typically, I think they typically show like original approved, right, budget,
Sure.
but yes, with that additional appropriation, exactly, it does look different.
It's a little misleading if we got an additional 580,000, right, through the year.
Yep.
And then, prior to that, it was, over 4% as well. 4.86 actually in 2022, 2023 with the additional funds.
Mm-hmm.
And that year actually one of the closer mimics to what we're seeing had that high insurance increase that year as well, 10.5%.
Yeah.
So speaking of insurance.
I was just about to say, speaking of insurance.
Right.
Speaking of insurance, we did get some news on insurance, just yesterday. The Fairfield County rate is 12.5% versus the 16 that we have in the budget. It's impactful by just right around $300,000 to the budget. And so that will be, we'll have to wait and see.
Now, is that a final number at this point, or is it still
from the state? It is, yes.
So
and that's 300,000 back into our budget, correct? Is that what you were saying?
If we were to lower our increase to insurance in our budget to that to that final number increase of 12.5%, that would be a budget impact of about $300,000 to our budget, correct?
Okay. Okay, and that's the 12.5 is counting like the extra 1% we have to pay to be in the county.
So,
I think.
Yeah,
right?
I'm trying to recall now if it was like 11.5 and I added the 12.5. Whatever the difference for us that I calculated is $300,000.
Okay.
And I think it is like 11.5 and then I added the 1 for the 12.5. But I do know it's a $300,000 impact.
$300K. Okay. Well, not great news, but not terrible news either, I guess.
Right.
Okay.
Well, it could have gone higher. So
It's like any good news.
we have to look at
Any
it
good
that
news
way.
in any form.
Okay. I'm gonna put that as a note in our meeting minutes as well. Casey, are you okay with that? Is it publishable?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And that was communicated when? Yesterday, you said? Just
Yesterday.
Okay.
Yep. And I can tell you that communication.
Okay.
Yeah, that was sent by Sean Scanlon, who is the state comptroller.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Anything else under the 26-27 budget topic? Okay. Anything else under miscellaneous business? I did make the note around and it's DRIP fund, correct?
Yep, DRIP. Yep.
Okay. I did make that I did put a note in our notes under miscellaneous. Anything else under miscellaneous discussion?
Caroline, I can add a link too. I did it for the facilities minutes. I'll add a link to more information on that DRIP fund. So if people are interested in learning more, they can have access there.
Okay, great. Yeah, just throw it right into the notes. I'll share the document. Okay. If there's nothing else, Erin, do you have anything else?
No, I mean, the only other thing that I keep asking for is for legal to be put on the agenda. I just really strongly feel like we have a responsibility, to be good stewards for taxpayer dollars. And we're employing a law firm that charges the highest hourly rate, and we're seeing it. And I just think that, it's something that we need to discuss. I'm also a little bit concerned about, Mr. Belden and the Board of Finance weighing in about being really unhappy where we are with contracts. So I would suggest that moving forward, maybe someone on the Board of Finance sits in on those contracts, if that's allowable, because, there's nothing that we can do now that contracts are signed and executed. So I just have serious concerns about where we are. I wasn't in that contract. I mean, I definitely was in the para negotiation contract, and I felt like Pete, was really helpful in that. I wasn't in the teacher one, so I can't speak to it, but I really, I think that it's reasonable for us to review our legal services and considering sending them out to bid to ensure we're getting the best value and representation for the district. I also would urge, and maybe Stephen can speak to this. I know that Shipman and Goodwin is representing both the board and special education. I would advise, right, that if we do have open special education cases, that maybe we, continue to maintain them through Shipman, and maybe just look at board representation. But obviously that would be really unsettling, and it would be a cost to the district if you brought someone in halfway through, a potential mediation or due process hearing. So I want to be sympathetic to that, but I also really think that this is a conversation that we need to have. These legal fees, they're the highest they've ever been. And they weren't great to begin with, right? But they are completely... they've exploded, and you look at them, and like I said, I've called around, and Shipman has the highest hourly rates, and I don't know, if we can get something more reasonable for someone, firm. There's plenty of other firms that represent boards that come highly recommended, and I think we need to do our due diligence to show transparency that we are looking at rising costs.
Mm-hmm. No, I think it's a good idea to look around and see what else is out there. I know, though, it depends on who you work with at Shipman, right? So the rates are dependent upon the attorney that you're working with, too. So I don't know, we'd have to ask what the variance is, both in Shipman and whatever other firms we look at, just to determine what the rates are. I know if you go with, Shipman's best attorney, it's going to be very high versus some others that they have. So we should look at all that and just make sure we're making a, prudent decision. And then also at the, when you parcel out the bill, some of it seems legitimate things that we want to be using the attorneys for. And some of it, I think we have opportunities to do things differently in-house. So I just wonder if it's more a implication of the attorney we choose or how we execute the usage of attorneys, or a combination of both.
Yeah.
It could be. Right. So I just think there are a number of factors to look into, and we want to be able to just look into those all and make informed decisions.
No, and I appreciate you saying that. I mean, and I think, look, we can get better in-house, but I think we also, I don't know, I think we need to go into this with our eyes wide open. And, I don't know that we have anything to lose sending it out and interviewing firms and seeing if someone might be better suited and a little bit more cost effective to our bottom line. But I mean, I look at, one of our attorneys who's relatively junior, right? And some of what she's billing is outrageous. So, and it's for stuff that I don't believe that we should be paying legal for. I mean, we have, we have to get FOI training. We spent, I don't know how many thousands of dollars to have a representative when we're ending up with that anyways. We should have just accepted the training and been done with it, in my opinion.
Understood.
And when, I don't think Aaron and I were either, well, I know I wasn't, I don't think Aaron was on the board either when this was put out to bid last time. What, do we know when that was? I know we know, but do you remember off the top of our head?
That was April of 2024, so not quite 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's when I was first on.
Okay.
Yeah, and I joined in July, so.
And was there a package of that RFQ that was reviewed at a subsequent board meeting?
Yeah, so we reviewed everything. That absolutely.
I assume that. So I guess for my own education, if I want to look back at that RFQ, I could go back into the board meeting minutes. Would that full kind of summary be within there?
It's not there. No, the RFQ, they're not there because I've never seen them.
Yeah,
so
that wouldn't be included in the minutes, but I can certainly get you that that file, Caroline.
Could you send it to Aaron and I? So so we have a reference point going forward. That'd be helpful.
Absolutely.
I think what I did learn is that, Rob, and correct me if I'm wrong, you guys knew choosing Shipman that they were the highest?
Oh, I don't know. I really don't remember that we knew it at the time if they were the highest 2 years ago. But I do remember that what they presented was the best, and everybody was on board. I believe it was unanimous, from what I recall. If I'm not mistaken.
I believe you're right, Rob.
Yeah, I thought it was. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So I think, if you could send that to the two of us, just so we can take, have that level of information as well as we're talking about, where we can look in that bucket.
Sure.
Yeah, I almost I don't know, do we make a motion in the finance committee to bring this to the full board? To send it out? Because the recommendation should come from here. I don't
know if we're ready for that just yet. I mean, we might have more discussion on it, but I mean, we could do it at some point going forward if need be, but.
I disagree.
If I could make a suggestion, maybe you can task, Stephen and myself to do some research, right? To get see what other districts around us, what percentage of their budgets are they spending on legal? What would it look like if we had different rates depending on that, given the hours of legal that we have going on? We can, just one suggestion, we could work on that over the next month and bring that to this committee at the April meeting with more data and information to make a decision, but it's obviously it's your call.
Yeah, I mean, I'm frustrated. I mean, I've asked for the last 2 months for this to be put on the agenda and talked about, and it never makes it there. So, another month, we're paying $18,000.
So the homework would be to look at surrounding towns of their budget, and I would assume use the quote that we had gotten to make some estimates on what our potential legal fees would have been had we gone a different route, right? That's what we're talking about?
We could do that. I mean, it'll be, as Stephen pointed out, depending on which attorney in the firm you use, the rates are gonna, vary, but we could certainly use, whatever average rate that was provided for Shipman and for all these other, firms. And then based on our current known number of hours of legal billing that we have, that might be the most comparable, way to do that comparison.
At the very least, I mean, we need to review board counsel. I mean, by bylaw 9115, it's supposed to be reviewed annually. So I don't know why we don't talk about it.
We can certainly do that, and I'll go back and look at the bylaw on that. I don't know when the last time we reviewed the legal counsel.
It was discussed at a meeting under Wendy when she was chair, and nothing was ever done with it. So, I mean, it should be reviewed annually. We've almost had them for 2 years. I've been on the board since July. They've never been reviewed.
I mean, it's outside of the realm of finance, but I would support a motion to review legal counsel for sure, right? And figure out what we want to do as the next step, to your point. Do we want to put it to bid? Do we want to look at strategies to mitigate costs, right, internally in other ways?
I don't know if we need a motion for that, right? I mean, we can just add that. And Darren, I'm sorry that I didn't know you were asking 2 months to get on that. I apologize about that. We did something that we do need to review and speak about. I'm okay with that. And,
well, I mean, typically it's a finance matter, right? We're not reviewing counsel because,
right.
Someone lost their Juris Doctorate because they're in trouble for something, right? We're looking at it because of financial implication. I mean, I don't even know what legal is. I don't even look at the line item anymore. So, I mean, where are we?
Get a breakdown of all the areas that what direction legal is being spent in, as far as cases and things like that, right? Casey and Stephen, we can get a breakdown of like exactly where that's going. So, like you had said, to get a better handle on it.
Right. I would think.
I mean,
yeah.
You send out an RFP, it takes them, 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes 8 weeks to get back to us. In that time, it would have been due diligence, right, to get the information. And whether we move forward to interview them or not, that's on us, right? We don't necessarily have to call them in, right? They give us a bid, we look at it, we don't even have to call them back. So I just don't see, I really just don't see wasting another month.
Would we put that out to bid, or does that fall under the town procurement?
And we would put that out.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. I don't know.
Yeah.
What,
Yeah, we would put that out.
Yeah. We follow the same procurement guidelines as the town, Caroline,
Sure.
so that would be an RFP. Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess the question, and again, just still operationally trying to understand, would this then become an item on the agenda for the next board meeting to ask board members if they want to do a review of legal, and it would be a board decision?
I think I kind of see it as two separate things. It's a review of legal, which that we have an obligation to fulfill.
Mm-hmm.
And then it would be a decision on to put it out to bid again as
Got
well.
it.
I mean,
That would come that would be a board decision, not to bid again. So for the review, I guess the question would be, how do we define a review?
I don't think anybody knows, right? I mean, I don't know if it's a set of questions, right? That, we set up a Google Doc and people answer them. I mean, You know, obviously, asking board members what our thought process is on, you know, special education cases, we have no idea, right? What our thought process is. I mean, I think the only thing that we really see, right, is the amount of money we're spending.
Sure.
And then, you know, some areas.
Yeah, the level of service, response time, like
Yep.
communications,
And that would-
that type of stuff. I mean, yeah.
And we would need you, right? Well, you and Casey, whoever's utilizing council, right, to answer that. as
To give
well.
feedback. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm not talking to them. So
I think that maybe, I don't know if Casey said it or Robert, I think to that end, we would be able to come maybe either back to this meeting or to, you know, if you think, Aaron, if you were saying it should be kind of reviewed here, we could come back with all that information.
well, I mean, legal has
Yeah.
legal has to be reviewed. by
You're doing
the-
the review myself. Sorry. Aaron.
No, go ahead, Rob. I mean, legal has to be reviewed by the entire board. I mean,
Right.
that's the reality.
Right.
No, and I agree with that.
I don't know how that
They can give us a better breakdown. I would presume they would start to review where the money is being spent and what areas legal is focusing on, and then, you know, provide us with that and then go from there.
Can we have that piece of the discussion potentially on the agenda, a breakdown of all the different buckets that we're spending for legal for the board meeting discussion?
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I think we need to see it broken down. What did we pay for ethics violations? Because that was quite a bit. What did we pay for FOI? What did we
Yes.
pay? I mean, we
Yeah.
know what we paid for special ed, but we're seeing
Yeah.
like a lump, like today, we're seeing a lump of $17,000 for the board.
Yeah, no, I meant more get the granularity right behind that, like, and the year to date, right? There's got to be sub buckets, you know, invoice buckets that they use, right, for the different services. Can we put that on the agenda for next week's board meeting to talk through that?
That works for me, right? Is that okay, Stephen? That's fine by me.
Yes.
Okay. And then through that discussion, I think, Aaron, you know, we can present the motion to the board to bring it back to bid, depending
Yeah,
on.
I'm going to be transparent. I'm going to make a motion. So,
Yeah.
you know, motion and possible action regarding legal counsel. I mean, I think, like I said, we're going to hear it tomorrow night, and I think that we need to be proactive in areas that we can try and be transparent in. I'm just actually looking that back.
Looking up what? You cut out there.
I'm just looking up this bylaw 9115, you know, at the request of the superintendent, the Board of Education and attorney shall attend. Well, we don't want them attending board meetings. We don't need to start paying for that.
I think it sounds like we just need some more time to review things and go before we start, you know, making motions and stuff. But that, I appreciate your transparency and wanting to move forward. I want to gather as much information as we can, at least from my standpoint, before I, you know.
Yeah, I understand that, Rob, but requesting, you know, legal to go out to bid, we're looking at 6 to 8 weeks. So whether they give us packets and we're not interested in entertaining, calling them back to interview them, like, it's really, I mean, we're wasting postage at that point.
So I would like to look at the last RFQ, have that data, and then come to the board meeting with the summary of the legal fees, but broken down into the specific areas of service that we've been utilizing.
Yep. And here's the bylaw. It says the performance of the school attorneys shall be subject to annual evaluation by the Brookfield Board of Education and the superintendent. Such evaluation shall include the areas of efficiency and adequacy of advice, results obtained for the district, reasonableness of fees, and responsiveness and the interactions with the board, administration, and community. So it's pretty clear what we're supposed to be looking at. So I would just ask, I mean, I can say since July of 24, I haven't seen a review. So, I mean, maybe there was one. I'm really not sure.
So I'm putting an action under the miscellaneous discussion that one, you'll send us the previous RFQ for review. And then two, Casey, you and Stephen will come to the March 18th BOE meeting with the legal fees further defined and categorized.
Yep.
For lack of a better
Yes.
Absolutely.
term. Okay. Is that satisfactory for now?
Yeah, I mean, and just, you know, and at the bottom it says the board retains the right to terminate the service of any attorney. So it is the board's purview, you know, to look at counsel.
And again, they are contracted through the end of the year or the end of the school year, or not contracted.
They're not contracted. They're at will.
The contract is at will. Okay.
Well, that's typically, I don't know, that's typically an attorney isn't on a contract like that, but I mean, Casey can probably clarify, but I think the only thing under contract is policy.
Yeah, I would just recommend that we don't, you know, terminate any relationship with any attorney until we have a new attorney in place. I would just make that recommendation. It might be obvious, but I would just state that we want to make sure that we are always, you know, have legal counsel that we are engaged with, because things change drastically, can change drastically.
Well, I can't imagine anybody would leave the district without counsel.
Okay. Anything else for this evening?
No, I think I just would ask Stephen, what do you need from us tomorrow night? Is there anything that would be helpful as far as finance? You know, we're sitting on this finance board. Is there anything that we can do, you know, to support you other than showing up? You know, is there anything you want us to speak to? I mean, obviously, we're here to support you. I know you came in, you know, at the worst possible time. If you write a book, you definitely need to tell them not to join board suit. But
no, I appreciate that. I think we've spoken about a lot this evening. I think you've shared a lot also that, you know, you plan to, you know, share tomorrow night. So thank you for that. I think, no, I mean, you know, when I meet with Casey all the time and the numbers are clear, we're transparent with what we do. We get audited every year, crystal clear where the numbers, where things are going. We show you all the time. We're over here, we're under here. This is where we're transferring. So everything's crystal clear. We wouldn't be where we are without her. And so, you know, I think we're in good position to just go in and share what we need, what we'd like to do moving forward, and how we just need support to do that. And how we do think that together, if we work closely together, the three boards, that we can continue to realize some cost savings in the future. And we look forward to working together to do that.
Did we have any specific follow-up conversations on the idea of the shared, additional shared resources with the town at this point? Like any tactical conversations?
We have not, no. Okay. And, you know, I would think if we already share technology, I would think if there are any next area we would ever look into, I think it would be facilities. But again, I'd want to really do a feasibility study on that and look at that carefully and just make sure we're making the best decision for everyone involved, that it's both an efficiency and maintenance improvement decision as well as potentially financial, and that we go into it with an open mind and open thoughts about that.
I would potentially anticipate that coming up tomorrow. So I would just have some, you know, your thoughts on it and how we would potentially look into it, you know, going forward.
I would just wonder, is that something that, oh, sorry, Erin, go ahead.
I know HR has been suggested too. Is that an area where, I mean, I know we're short,
Right.
I would love to see, our assistant superintendent not being focused right on HR issues. I mean, obviously you guys have to be integral parts in some of them,
Right.
but I mean, I know that we're really short in that area. And I mean, hopefully we can start recruiting and getting new talent. And I mean, I would imagine that those offices are busy. And so I just don't know if that's, like, do we have enough help in HR?
No, that's an area where I would shine a spotlight as well and just say we're short-handed there. And in the way we are in a position right now with a lot of uncertainty around the budget, it leaves us in a peculiar place to recruit talent right now. Definitely not going to get top-tier talent. I would tell you just from experience, the way we do it here does not promote the opportunity to get top-tier talent because we don't know early enough and aren't secure enough in our decision-making to be able to go and, like UConn Fair is coming up in a week and a half, right? I personally used to give tentative contracts right on the spot, and we're talking about another $400,000 reduction. So I would never be responsible and do that. So we're going to lose all the top-tier talent to the people like in places like where I came from who does that. And many do. And so, again, we keep talking about the impact of that, and we can keep talking about financial because I know this is a finance meeting, but at the end of the day, we talk about kids. And when we can get the best talent in front of kids, that's when kids do their best, right? So we need a lot of things. That's just one, but that is critical. And so it's a combination. And it's, again, like I said earlier, it's nuanced and dynamic. And if we don't think of all of that when we're making decisions and we only think about the dollar, we have to think about what the value and impact of that dollar is on our student performance. And we have opportunities, again, to do differently. We just have to invest in that and then reallocate in different ways, but be strategic about that. We are fully prepared to do that over the next couple of years. We need to do that.
Yeah. A lot of work.
It's a lot of thoughtful work.
Yes.
And so, yeah. But we have to be somewhat focused on it, right? So we also have to think about, all the things we want to do and then start peeling back the onion to say, what are the most valuable things? What are the high lever things to do? And let's put our energies and time there. And not have our time and energy parceled out into 100 million things that, everyone thinks they want to have done when we're not sure that those will yield the results that we need.
Yeah.
Stephen, do you ever see this district being able to go to UConn, right, and give people contracts on the spot? I mean, is that,
yes.
Is there a way? Okay. So
I can make that happen next year. I'll give you a plan on. I have the plan already laid out on how that'll happen next year. It's too late to happen this year. It's too late to happen this year. Unfortunately, it isn't too late to happen this year. Actually, if we had greater security in the budget that we were getting, I wouldn't be responsible. That's what I will tell you. I wouldn't be responsible to do it this year,
right?
Without security in our budgeting.
Yeah. With the uncertainty of where it's going to land, it's
correct.
It's not a good decision. It's too risky.
Correct.
Very good point, Stephen. I'm glad you made that point too. That is a very good point. Thank you for pointing that out. Very good.
When is the fair?
2
like
weeks.
a week and a half, 2 weeks. Yeah, like the 23rd, the week of the 23rd, I believe, or maybe the 9th. Maybe it's next week. I don't know. It's coming up.
I don't know. I'm just sitting here thinking like maybe we'll know where the budget is, and you had these great ideas with, building plans, right? That's going to need people with specific skills, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be able to just pull them from.
No, all of these things are pending that opportunity. And so, yes,
right.
We are, the window of opportunity is closing. We'd like to keep it open.
Okay.
But to your point earlier about the other conversation, it takes 6 weeks to do an RFP. we are on a short time frame if we want to move things along this year. We're on a very short time frame to move some of them forward in a number of ways. You know, the opportunity for full day K. I mean, people are already paying deposits in other places. We got to move, right? If we're going to move. Opportunity to bring some, you know, create another program here. I need good staff who can do that. Or
So
back.
Stephen, just to reiterate, sorry, sir, just to cut you off, sorry, but just to reiterate, you are able to do these things. The sooner we know, the better. And the sooner we know exactly where we are, so you can start getting to work on this. And I'm sure that 486 would make it a lot easier than what we had voted on. Just to want to reiterate that.
Yeah, that we would be able to move very fast. Yes.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, I just think I mean, I don't know if anybody thinks, I don't think we're getting back. I don't even know what the Board of Selectmen cut, but I would find it very hard to get that back tomorrow night. I'm just hoping we won't get any more.
They cut 0.45%. It equated to around $250,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's kind of the equivocal of what they reduced it to. But I think even at that, we could make things work. We can make things work.
Okay. I mean, look, I would love to see them go back up. I just,
Right.
I'm not going to hold my breath.
There are compounding impacts, though, if we make certain reallocations too early on the management side of the house. That would impact the ability to implement the things that we're talking about that we want to move forward as well. So to make them parallel right now would be a huge impact on the system that I'm not sure we're ready to absorb. Was that not specific enough?
It was not specific enough for me.
All right. So
Sorry.
there have been discussions around certain reallocation of certain positions, right? And all I would say is to immediately do that and try to put in some new things at the same exact time right now. The system isn't going to be able to handle all that, and it neither will come out good. So the opportunity to run them a little bit parallel into next year, which that's to your point, Aaron, I think that's why we need that money now to manage that and then reallocate for the following year would be the ideal way to ensure that the new things are put in with success.
Effectively.
So you're saying to put them in, keep everything the same for the 26, 27 year and then cut the following year?
Potentially, yes. I do think there, you know, we can still look at like, because we have to get down to a 0.41 or 4.41, right? We have to get down to that. So that means we can look at things like a section reduction at CLE. You know, we can look at certain things that we will still have to reduce to get there. But other areas, if we go deeper and further impacts, I don't think you're going to be able to do both at once. I think we just lose out on a number of things next year, and then we have to see how the following year goes.
Okay.
We're on an aggressive timeline. Some of these items.
All right. If there's nothing else, going once, going twice. All right. I'm going to call us at 7:31 and have a wonderful rest of your evening.
You too. Thank you.
Enjoy your evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.